Okay, in this video, we're going to cover how to create a modal pop-up inside an info box. And if you're familiar with BeaverBuilder and either UABB or PowerPack, you know what the modal pop-up is and the info box. What I'm going to be showing on this one is just on this page what I did to create these this effect. And as you're watching this video, it may or may not be exactly the same pop-up, but it'll be close. So we're going to go through and get the concept. So here's my page. I'm going to drop down. This should be the same page you're reading. And so how to call the modal from the full info box. So in this case, if I go over and look at the demo site, okay, so here is actually the page brought up in a browser, and I'm on the middle of the page. And you can see here that I have my info box, and it's activated. I can click anywhere on the box, and if I click anywhere on the box, we get a image to appear. So how did we set that image to appear? So here we are back at the dev page, the development page inside BeaverBuilder, and I'm just going to scroll down the page here a little bit. We'll go ahead and get to this info box, which is the one that we want to change here. And if I pull up the meta information on this info box, here's what we're going to see. So looking at it first, of course, we got the title and everything in here. And if I scroll down the info box, you've got your basic settings on it. But we want to go over to link. And again, this is specific in this case to UABB. It may be different if you're going with like PowerPoint, or not PowerPoint, but PowerPack or some of the other utilities out there. But for UABB, this is what it is. Okay, on link, what we're going to do is we're going to set the type to be complete box. Then down here in the link area, you want to make sure that you put a pound sign here, because if you don't put a pound, the link will never be active, and then it's never really going to call the modal box either. So you have to put a pound sign there, and probably put no follow on your link. It doesn't really matter there. And then the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to jump over here to the Advanced tab. And on the Advanced tab, we're going to go down, and there's all kinds of different things that you can set in there. But the one that we're really interested in is down here on the class. You could use ID if you wanted to call out a specific ID, but in our example here, I'm just going to use the class and give it a name. This can be any name you want it to be. Doesn't, just give it a name. And note that you do not put in this case, in this location, you do not put the dot in front of the class name. You just simply put the name. It will automatically, the system will be adding the dot. And likewise, if you used ID, you want to put just the name of the ID. You do not put the pound sign in front. Okay, so that I think is all we need to set here. Then what we're simply going to do is go to the modal. Now I'll go up and find my modal. And the modal, it doesn't matter where it's at on the page. You'll notice I've got my modal sitting up here towards the top of the page with the very first demo, but it can be anywhere on the page. Put it at the bottom, put it at the top. Some people like to organize them all down at the bottom, so they've got a common place for all their modals. Plus, it doesn't interfere with your layout at that point. Anyway, so we've got the modal here. We'll go ahead and click the modal and go into its settings, and its settings are going to be fairly straightforward. So for your modal settings, you go in and you add your content. In my demo here, I'm setting my type to be a photo and picking an image. Then you're going to jump over to display settings, and display settings, you want to set the Display Modal on to be a custom class or ID. If you drop it down, you'll notice that you've got several choices that you can make off of it. But we're just going to set it to be custom class. And then we're going to here add in the class and or ID that we had given to the info box. Now there's two places that you can add this. You can add it here, right on the Display Settings tab, and just put it in here. But note, if you put it in here, in this case you do need to put either a dot or a pound in front of the name, because it needs to know whether you're specifying a class or an ID. The other place that you can put it is over here on the Advanced tab, and on the Advanced tab, which is the standard BeaverBuilder setup for it, here you would just put the name of the class without the dot, or the name of the ID without the dot. So in this case I just put it on the Display Settings, but I specified the dot, and that's that. So by doing those settings, when you come over here on our demo and you have your box here, you can click anywhere on the box and you get your modal to pop up. Okay, so let's look at this then just a little bit further. And what if we want to make this happen with an icon or a button, and to get it to appear with either one of those? So again, looking at the example, if I scroll down on our demo page, we have an info box here, but you'll notice with this info box, it's not active. I can't click anywhere on this box. If I do click, nothing happens. But this button is active. So with this button, if I click it, it brings it up. All right, so how did we do that? The way we did that is just with a few modifications. So first of all, I'm going to go into the info box itself. In the info box, and we'll go ahead and go to the link. And on the link, I changed the type from being the full box or complete box. I changed the link to being a button. And in this case, there might be another way to set this up, but in this example, I simply remove the text. I make sure to put in my pound sign on the link, and then I come down and set an icon to appear on the button. So that's how you get this icon to be right on the button style, is I set that there. And then the other thing I want to do for the button is assign a class to the button. So I put the class in here. Now this is where UABB is a little bit inconsistent, in that they only allow a class here. They don't put in a class /ID as it was in the other instance. So in this case, since they are only allowing a class, you do not put the dot in front. That's going to be automatically prepended. Then what I did is I went over to my Advanced tab, and in my Advanced tab I simply remove the class from the info box. And the reason is because we don't want this class assigned, that class of image modal, which is what we've been using here. We don't want that class to be assigned or associated with the entire info box. We only want that class to be associated with the button. So once that's done, then we can go over and take a look at what happens over here, and that is if I come down to the button, I can simply click it and get my modal. So hopefully that helps. And there are other ways to do this. There's many, many ways to, as the old saying goes, there's many ways to skin a cat. So I'm not saying this is the only one, but if you got some questions on this, head on over to my Facebook group, my EntreTools Q&A group, drop me a question and I'll see if I can get it answered for you.